Hi, Wes and I are taking some time off. So today we're going to revisit one of our most popular episodes with you. This episode marked the beginning of our grand tour of a common cybersecurity department in a large company. In fact, we're in the middle of that tour right now, and we'll finish it over the course of several future episodes. Now, this replay will be especially good for those of you who recently joined our community but haven't gone back yet to see the big picture that we're trying to describe. Okay, I really think you're going to enjoy this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Cyber Path. This is the podcast where we help you get your dream cybersecurity job. I'm Kip Boyle. I'm here with Wes Schreiner. We are experienced hiring managers of cybersecurity professionals, and we're here to help you. And if you're listening to the podcast through your podcast listener, as you probably always do, what you don't know is that we're also making a video today. And we're going to be making videos from now on, in fact. And if you want to watch the video, just go to our YouTube channel, search for Your Cyber Path podcast, and you'll find our playlist up there. And this is important because we're actually going to be sharing with you some visuals, right? And actually, we're kicking off a whole series of podcast episodes. What we're doing, Wes and I, is we're going to give you a guided tour of a typical cybersecurity organization in a large enterprise, and we're going to tell you why we're doing this in a moment. But just another tip for you is as we're going to start numbering the episodes, so it'll be much easier for you to figure out how to watch these things in order because they are going to build on each other. So, Wes, good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Kip. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're going video now, and video's a little scary, right? Mostly because now I can see my mug on the screen, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I have 3 years of recording podcast audio only, and so yeah, I'm not used to doing this either. This is kind of strange, but that's okay. We're gonna get used to it.
And with the videos, we're going to have to learn to like each other. So
that's right. Because in the past, I'd be like, I don't like what he's saying. I'd be miming.
Nobody could see that,
but nobody could see it. Yeah. But now here we are.
It's going to be. It's a new day, a new dawn, a new era, and it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think this is really going to help people. So, the reason why we made this change is because Wes and I were talking about content, and we were talking about, gosh, how can we help, right? Like, what's something big we can do to help that maybe nobody else has done yet? Like, how can we help folks who want to get into cybersecurity, or maybe you're just in cybersecurity, right? And you're in your first job, and you're thinking like, where do I want to go to next? If you're a person who thinks about the future. And so we thought, well, why don't we just like show people how a typical large organization is laid out? And then we thought, oh, but if we do that, we're going to want to show like pictures, graphics, right? Org charts,
Exactly.
We're going to want to show stuff. And so then we said, all right, we're going to have to do this with a video recording. We're also going to have to do it in a way that respects the people who don't want to watch this as a video, who are already listening to it and prefer that. And so as best we can, we're going to continue to narrate what we're doing in a way that if you can't see the visuals, it's not going to stop you from getting value from what we're doing. But you can tell us if we're not getting it right. Just let us know, right? You can send me a message, kip@yourcyberpath.com, and you can let us know how we're doing.
So, it's the changing of the seasons right now, Kip. We hit the cold spell on the farm this week.
That's right.
Weather dropped below freezing. The flowers that were left all got crispy and brown. We pulled the last apples off the tree, and I started thinking about. I've been doing some fence planning, right? Because in a suburban backyard, you just do a little fence around the edge of your property. But when you're trying to build corrals and pastures and rotate your flocks, and then you've got to figure out, I want to do a vegetable garden next year, but how do you do that? You've got to have an 8-foot high defensive perimeter to keep the deer out, and that's just the deer. If you want to grow any carrots or corn or anything else. So it's an 8-foot high, and you've got to go electric if you want to keep the bears out.
Oh my gosh!
So
you have a bear threat? Really?
It's not a threat. They climb the trees, they break the branches, right?
Well,
But they
come
eat the rest
on.
of the apples. That's why I had to take the apples off the tree, because if I don't, the bear does, and he'll break the branches
Oh
on
my
his way down.
gosh.
So,
Oh my gosh. This is
so
great, man. Talk about planning, right? Talk about advanced planning.
and
Gee.
that's exactly what we're doing, right? If you want to plan your fence line and build your pastures and your corrals, you've got to plan that ahead of time. You can't just go start digging posts, right?
Right,
And
right.
and I think the same thing is true in our cybersecurity career, right? There's a lot of opportunity for I could just go dig a post, and run a fence line here, or go get this job. But if we understood what the bigger picture is and then started to apply that to our careers, we can really have a beautiful pasture and corral and plan for our yard and our
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah, that sounds great. Cool. Yep. Well, I'm on board, and I hope everybody out there listening and watching, I hope you understand why we're doing this, and I hope that this is helpful. So, we're going to do this as a series of episodes, and today what we're going to do is just kind of introduce the organization and paint in very broad brushstrokes, where we're going with all this.
It's going to be a lot of fun. The video podcast is new. It's a new journey, a new video. This is part one of what could be a lot of content, a lot of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And understand the big picture leads to understanding what's my fit in this organization, right?
Yeah.
How do I fit here?
Yep.
And and the assumptions we're making are for a large organization, right? You and I both have a lot of experience in Fortune 100 companies, assuming a 200-person security organization and a $100 million budget,
Mm-hmm.
non-staff budget. But the mid-markets and the startups also have these same responsibilities and these same functions. They just apply them differently, right?
Yeah.
It may be one security person who happens to put on this hat and then put on this hat and then put on this hat, moving through the process.
That's right.
And the same thing's going to be true.
That's right. And so the point that Wes is bringing up is, and I'm going to restate it, is that yes, we're showing you a large security organization, but even if you work in a smaller organization, the things that they do in the big organization still typically need to be done in a small organization. Now, it's not scaled down linearly, right? So it's not
True.
just a matter of like doing exactly the same stuff in the exact same way with less people. I see that sometimes. I don't think that's a good approach. That's like telling a 14-year-old who needs to go to a fancy event, just wear your dad's suit, right? We'll cuff it and you'll be fine, right? Like that doesn't work, So you've got to actually, you actually have to create something that's going to fit. But I still think this is a good template, because you might want to go work in a large security organization or a mid-sized one or a small one. But I think the concepts are the same and the jobs are similar.
And we're going to try and keep the understanding really transferable. We're going to talk about the 23 common services of a security service catalog. We're going to go into one common tool and one common process that are used in that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And then for our job seekers, we're going to look at what kind of roles are normally in place in that area. And are they technical roles? Are they business roles? Are they analysis roles? Are they PM? Are they engineer?
Right.
We're going to start to take a look at whether these are more senior roles or more junior roles, or maybe there's a blend of both. And I think that's going to be really helpful for our audience.
Yeah. We're talking about career pathing, right? So it's not just what's my path into cyber, but what's my path once I get in. So yeah,
Indeed.
So this is great.
Indeed. And then lastly, what's my path in both as a new hire and as a senior person, maybe in technology, who wants to make the jump from a technology team to a security team.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. There's a lot of transferable skills there. And then the other thing I love what we're doing with this here, Kip, is your idea, right? We're going to bring in the hottest guest speakers you've ever heard.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Experts who've been doing this for 20, 30 years or as long as it's been around, right? They're going to give us their secret sauce. So I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. I totally forgot to tell people about that. But yeah, we're going to bring in some people that are going to really help you understand what's going on.
I'm looking forward to it. So today we're going to define the common reporting structure for a large security organization and build a roadmap for where we're going next.
Let's do it.
All right, there it is. We're done.
Read it and weep, ladies and gentlemen.
We did it.
Yeah, so there's a visual now, right? This is where it becomes visual. And so what you're seeing on the screen and what you'll be able to see later on if you're just listening right now is an actual diagram of what the typical security organizational units look like. And Wes, why don't you just take us on a quick spin?
Sure. So let's start with the cybersecurity organization in the middle. That's probably a VP, a CISO. The person who owns that is the security leader for the organization, right?
Yeah, the security executive, right? The senior security executive is another
True
term that I've heard used.
Thank you. Or head of information security, head of cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 4 organizational units that we're going to wrap around that. On the bottom, we're going to add security operations. Then on the right, we're going to add engineering, architecture, and test.
Mm-hmm.
On the top left, we're going to add governance, risk, and compliance. And then we'll put product security in the bottom left. I want to break down each one of those just a little bit more. And now that we've introduced the diagram, I think this would be a good time.
Yeah.
The security operations group, right? Who is that? That's the group that works tirelessly night and day to defend our organization from attacks. They have all the tools, the personnel, and expertise to run a multi-week incident response function for the company, probably using the MITRE attack framework.
Mm-hmm.
These are your heroes.
Yeah,
really,
for sure.
Right? They're a disciplined bunch with specific requirements. They have processes for everything until they run into a bad actor with a 0-day, and then no process exists. And that's when this team shines, right? Okay. They may be working all night, so forgive their bad breath and just slide another pizza under the door, right? They'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's the pizza under the door team, and they're a good group of folk, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go. Anything you want to add to security ops?
It can be a tough gig, right? I mean, being a hero is not easy work, but it's absolutely necessary, and it's a common front door for people trying to break in.
It's a great place to start.
Yep.
We'll get a lot more detail in this. Understand, we're just introducing the largest organizational units. We're going to go 2 clicks deeper before we get done here.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3 clicks. So it's going to be fun. On the right-hand side, we see the security engineering, architecture, and test team. It can be known by a lot of names, but it's best described as your blue team or your defense team, right? This is your technical group that is defending your organization. That they plan, they architect, they build, they scan, they test to remove vulnerabilities before they're discovered and exploited.
Yeah. And so security operations is sometimes called a blue team, right? And now we've got some blue team activities in security engineering architecture, right? That's blue. But then red team, right? So that's a common term that people are used to, right? Red team versus blue team. Mm-hmm. And so in this org, you've got some red team members, right?
You do. Good call. You're right. Your red team lives here as well with your penetration testing folks. Yeah, some of your threat hunting.
Great. And then projects, right? A lot of project work in this area.
Actually, this team supports the organizational project work, but most of the security sponsored project work is in our next option, right?
Okay.
We're going to go to the oh, sorry, my screen jumped on you there. We're going to go to the governance, risk, and compliance area. That's the top left area.
Okay, this so team is the third of 4 organizations.
Yeah, this is the business side of cybersec. They handle all the program planning, the budgets, the staffing. They categorize risk and roll it up to the large organization. They make sure we pass our compliance requirements so we can keep on doing business. And they build training for the rest of the organization to better internalize security. This is the group that manages our security policies and reports security progress to the executives and the board of directors.
Got it. Yep, GRC. So if you guys hear GRC, that's what Wes just described.
And there's plenty of tools and processes we'll get into in greater detail later. For now, just understand there's a lot of opportunity in the governance, the risk, and the compliance parts of the security organization.
Yep. Okay, that's 3 of 4. What's number 4?
The last one's really interesting, right? This is our product security group. Product security is primarily focused on securing the customer-facing, wild-facing devices and services. I'm thinking about something like the Xbox, right? Xbox is a hardware component that must be rigorously secured. A common thing to say in security is that if you have physical access to a computer, it's not your computer anymore, right?
Yeah.
Or if I have physical access to your computer, it's my computer.
Right. That's right.
Well, The Xbox device must be hardened for global customer distribution. It includes all of the OEM and third-party device architecture and manufacturing, including running local software and drivers, operating systems, and BIOS. Behind the Xbox is also a huge service infrastructure with web security, network security, and all the privacy and compliance aspects of global business service.
Mm-hmm.
Product security is both the device and the services behind it that our customer uses. And when we do security for those, what we're doing is we've made promises to our customer when they receive our product that we're going to protect their data and protect their interactions on our devices. And it's our job as the security organization to help our business keep those promises in every design decision and delivery decision made in our organization.
Right. And it's interesting because some organizations have products that are not hardware, and maybe they just offer a software as a service, right? And so the product security is really around identification
Services.
and access management, and it's very software intensive, right? But
It
then you
is.
get like Xbox is the example that you brought up. Okay, well now I got a piece of hardware, but it's also a very software driven product as well. So way more complicated, and I would expect a product security group to be much bigger in an organization that has a piece of hardware that people are actually
Indeed.
buying and using. So yeah.
Indeed. So we just named the 4 largest parts of a security organization, and we're going to break down the subcomponents of that as we go forward. But let's talk about what didn't make the list.
Okay.
Things that didn't make the cut, right?
Yep.
Some large organizations have a security research organization, right? These are essential for advancing the state of the art, but they're not something every security org is going to have.
Right. But you'll see it in some, right? Mostly big organizations, I think.
Yeah. And I'll just leave that one there. Yes, in big organizations, you'll see that. Right. Another thing we might see is large organizations may have a political influencer in Washington, D.C., right? Somebody who is their DOD or top secret or is a political influencer, and any one of those might be a reason to have a DC-based group as well.
Okay.
Right? All of these are legitimate components of some orgs. They're not common enough to all orgs to merit putting them in this conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That makes sense. Yeah, we're not trying to cover absolutely everything here. We're trying to cover the common stuff.
But let's have some fun, because this next slide, I hope you enjoy.
Oh yeah. Eyes.
We just got 14 disciplines inside those 4 security organizations. 4 security organizational units.
Yeah, because this all breaks down, right? So you've got the first level is, you have a cybersecurity organization. Then we broke that down into 4 main areas, and now we're further breaking it down into subgroups. And this is really going to be the roadmap for the rest of the episodes that we do in this series, right?
I think this is going to help us understand where am I at in the organization, and give us a baseline common understanding to be able to say, oh, you're talking about this part. Oh, you're talking about that part. And that's going to be really helpful.
Yeah. So I'm at the mall and I walk up to the big map and I look for the dot that says you are here, so that I can figure out where the Apple store is or whatever it is I want to go to. I want to get a Starbucks or something. That's what I'm looking at here.
We did a Microsoft plug. We might as well do an Apple plug. I love it.
Nobody's sponsoring this show, by the way. They're not sponsors.
Not yet, but you can send me money. All right. We're going to roll on to breaking down these boxes that now sit around our diagram, right? At the security operations in the bottom row, we have 3 disciplines. Those 3 disciplines are the security operations function, the security that might have the security operations center and incident response team.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to see security tools that support security operations. And then lastly, we're going to see a shared services function that sometimes lives in a security organization. That's going to be your keep the lights on shared services like identity and firewalls and encryption as a service, or any of the as a service solutions.
Got it. Okay. So security operations breaks down into 3 subgroups at this point.
3 disciplines. Yeah.
3 disciplines. Okay, great.
Yeah. Now, we're going to move to the right side, engineering, architecture, and test. We're going to see security strategy and architecture, solution engineering and architecture, and I want to call those out as being very different things. We'll get a chance to dig into that later.
Mm-hmm.
we go into security testing, and I've rolled AppSec separate from security testing, although application security is very much a security testing function.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding that it is a new and growing field, and so I've called it out separate from the rest of security testing.
Got it.
We've also got security functional testing, vulnerability scanning, internal and external web vuln scans, bug bounty capability, penetration testing, and we'll close this out with threat intelligence.
Okay, so nice job trying to sneak that one in. So it's not entirely clear that that's where threat intelligence belongs. So why do you like it there?
This is the most hotly contested discipline on this diagram for where it should live. I'm not going to lie. I showed this diagram to 10 people, and every one of them disagreed with me, and not one of them agreed with each other.
Okay, well, but that's okay, because guess what? Information security, cybersecurity, whatever label you want to use, it's always changing. And so it's common to have something new show up that you've never had before. Application security, for example. I remember when there was no application security as a separate discipline.
Right.
And everybody was like, what do we do with that? And so here's threat intelligence, same thing, right? Get all squinty eyed. What are we going to do with that? Eventually it'll find a place that most people will agree with, but we're going to invoke executive privilege and put it there.
And that's exactly it. If we put it in operations because it helps fan bad guys, that's great, but it's a 9-to-5 job. And it doesn't really contribute to attack and defense,
right?
In the same way, right? Some have argued for it placing in risk because it identifies risk, but it's a little more of a technical role than the common risk function, so it was out of place there.
Yeah. Okay.
It could go anywhere on the diagram, so we should.
All right. Well, that's where it's going to go. So that's what we think.
All right. So let's keep moving.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Governance, risk, and compliance in the top left. This is perhaps the most straightforward. G is for governance, which includes the project management office, the policies and standards, and the executive reporting function. R is for risk, which includes cyber risk and third-party cyber risk, which is actually like AppSec, in the last 5 years, a new function for most organizations.
Yeah.
The C is for compliance, which may include any relevant compliance function, right? Compliance in the US can come from federal government regulations like SOX, HIPAA, FedRAMP, GLBA, which is the banking one, or CP&I for call data records. It can come from state government regulations like CCPA, the California Privacy Protection Act. It can come from industry-wide self-regulation like PCI, which is your credit card industry protections.
Yep.
It can come from standards-based alignments like NIST, the US government's security posture, or the ISO 27001, which is more of an international security strategy.
Yep.
The fourth arm of GRC is the sneaky one because it doesn't have a letter.
It's like silent E. Like I've got little kids living at home, and we're talking about silent E right now, right? Like, silent E strikes again. It's right there hanging on the end.
Do you ever go to Starbucks, tell them your name is Bob, and tell them the K is silent, and see what they do with it?
Oh, well, I do better than that. I tell them it's Cornelius, and you spell it with a Q.
Nice. The security awareness and training function is quite possibly one of the most important functions in the whole organization.
And Wes, why would you say that? It seems boring.
Full stop. Full stop. It is often treated as a second-class citizen in the services of a security program, but I'm going to tell you, it is full stop the most important part. And here's why, right? How does malware most commonly get in our environment? Through the wetware.
Yeah, the wetware.
The wetware.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so listen, everybody. If you're learning all this for the first time, here's the part where I tell you that we have pet names for everything. All right, and wetware is probably a good point for me to take right now and just say.
I can help with that. We've got hardware.
If we use a bunch of jargon and we don't stop and tell you what it means, then you should call us out on it. But I'm going to call Wes out on wetware.
Please
Go
do.
ahead. Tell us
so
what
hardware
it is.
And software. We've got malware. Well, the wetware is the person who's made up of 90% water sitting behind the computer, right?
Part of the system.
It's the phishing attack, right? It's the softest part of getting into your computer is you, believe it or not, right?
No,
it's a
that's true.
PEBCAC issue.
Yeah.
PEBKAC is the person existing between the keyboard and the chair, right?
Okay, so that's the other
PEBKAC.
thing you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is we have many TLAs, 3-letter acronyms, maybe even more letters than that. So again, if we don't do a good job of spelling out our acronyms, call us out on that.
So the security awareness and training function attempts to teach our organization not to click on the phishing emails.
Yeah.
And to build an enterprise culture that understands security is everyone's responsibility.
And to slow down and follow the procedures, because errors are what causes a lot of problems.
What if we just started with only you get to use your badge? What if we started with when you walk through a door and you badge through that door, nobody else gets to walk also through that door?
Okay, but now you're crossing into a physical security discipline.
It's still security, because if I can touch your computer, it's my computer.
Right. Okay. So
That's
yeah, in the
for
old days,
another day.
yeah.
We'll have some
I
fun
can
with
talk
that.
about all kinds of other like oldie moldy, ideas about that stuff. So okay.
Oh, don't give that away now. So we're got to keep moving though, because we've got a guided tour today, and
Yeah.
I promised I would get us done in 30 minutes. So
Okay, let's go.
the bottom left of the organization is the product security function. It's split into two pieces: device or product security, the device, the hardware, and then the services behind it. And understand that can grow as small or as large as the product's demand that we're delivering to our customers and the kind of data we're protecting in the process.
Right. And you already gave a great example of an Xbox, but it could also be I said before, like a software as a service. It could be a mobile phone, right? It could be an iPhone. It could be,
this is where your IoT devices live.
Yeah, a lot of Internet of Things, right? So if you've got a refrigerator that's internet aware, right? A General Dynamics engine hanging off of a 787 airframe, right? Believe it or not, most people don't know this, but a jet engine is constantly streaming telemetry information over the internet while the airplane is flying.
You can't tell us that, Kip. Now
For
Boeing's
maintenance and all kinds of really interesting things. And so if the jet, like if that engine sends off a fault code in flight, and it's not critical, like a flight ending code, but maybe a little maintenance thing. So you could actually have a maintenance team on the ground at the gate when the jet rolls up, because they already know that a fault code was thrown in flight. And
with a new wing in hand, ready to go.
Whatever it takes, right? But that's an Internet of Things item, and it needs to be secure.
Very well. Good deal. Kip, is your and that's one thing IoT can tell you, right? It can say, is your refrigerator running?
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, I didn't just do
and
that.
If it is, you should probably go catch it.
Good times. So
dad jokes, right?
So we just did what needs to be in the security organization. We covered the 14 disciplines of a common security organization, split them up by the 4 organizational units. Let's look at what didn't make the cut, right? You already brought it up with physical security, right? PhysSec is not a common cybersecurity function anymore. It's still listed in ISC squared as a security discipline, one of the 10, but I've not seen physical security co-located with cybersecurity at any Fortune 100 company in a long time.
It ebbs and flows. Sometimes there is a big desire to smush them together and then to pull them apart again. And I can tell you, as somebody who for a couple of years was responsible for both, it's weird, because the people who work in the physical security teams it's just very different culture, very different way of doing things. Some of the concepts are similar, like, choke points, right? You want choke points in your physical security perimeter, and you want choke points in your networks. And so, but that's really where the similarities end.
So my expectation for our listeners is you're probably not going to see physical security as one of the primary disciplines in a security organization as you're looking for work. It might be there. Kip tells you it could be there.
It could be, but it's not common.
It's not common. Let's talk about business continuity and disaster recovery as well, right? Those make the list. Business continuity is handled by our business teams who want to keep their business operating. I may run in front of them and try and find things that will trip their business up, but that's the extent of the business continuity that our cybersecurity organization is probably going to be doing. We own confidentiality, integrity, and availability, but that's from an attacker and security perspective, not necessarily from an keep the lights on IT operations or even a business operations. We partner with our business teams to enable them to do business continuity, but we aren't the business continuity owners, and the same is true with disaster recovery, right?
Yeah, generally that's true. I've seen, especially in medium and small size organizations, I've seen that not be the case.
True.
So it can go, either way depending on the circumstance. But even when it is part of your cybersecurity org, you can't do it in a vacuum. You've got to do it in partnership. And so I think that's a really important thing that you just said, which is, don't sit in your stovepipe, right? Your silo, and think that you can figure out a great biz continuity plan or a great DR plan, because nobody will follow it when it's really needed, right? So be careful.
We know that a DR plan, it begins with a business impact analysis, or BIA, right? It's an assessment of which assets do I have and which are most important to bring back online,
Right.
first, second, and third, right? But I rarely see security orgs create and curate that document, right?
Right.
DR is really best managed by the operations team that supports the technology functions. And again, we help them.
Yep.
Right. And I want to call out one more thing here, because this is the slide to do it. If any of you ever say, that's not my job, you're done. Do not say, that's not my job. Your job is to make your company successful, to help them win, and to handle the security flank in the process.
Yep.
And you will do whatever it takes to help that company be successful.
And that's why in my JD's job descriptions, the last responsibility is other duties as assigned.
So the next group I want to talk about is privacy and legal, right? These are critical partners with security, but they shouldn't be confused with security functions specifically.
Right.
Here's a privacy example of how they should be working together. Because when a partner comes to us asking, what can I do with this data? It's the privacy teams who step in first to say, the data owner identified the data classification of this data as high or medium or low. And then after data classification is assigned, then the security team steps in to assist in defining appropriate controls and permissions for handling that level of data, classified data.
Got it.
Privacy helps with classification and permission for use. Security helps with protecting the data wherever it may go or stay. I'd prefer it stay, actually, if I can.
Yeah, well, it's not listed on this diagram, but I am seeing a merge, right? So a lot of people are thinking that with the increased emphasis on privacy, that we're going to see chief privacy officers and chief security officers, that those functions are going to merge. I don't know that I believe in that, but they are highly correlated. That's for sure.
I use privacy as my primary business case for security. Whenever I need money as a security manager, find my privacy team and say, hey guys, because the privacy team always stays in better hotels than the security team does.
Okay, so if you're looking for a cybersecurity job, you might want to start looking for a privacy job now. Now that the secret is out, now that the hotels
depends on
better.
how you want to travel. Your corporate travel, privacy teams are staying in the legal team hotels, right?
Yeah.
And security teams are staying in the operations team hotels. So yeah. So the next group is enterprise risk function, right? Enterprise risk is, what am I going to do to manage risk for my organization? This is the group that puts puts a list of scary things on the organizational 10K, which is a form that's filed with the US government, right?
Right. So if you're a publicly traded company in the United States, then that's the document that you use to share with potential and current investors. Like, what are the risks?
They manage data from external and internal audits, and the enterprise risk register. The cyber risk organization is a contributor to this enterprise risk function. Risks should be scored the same way. They should be rolled up to the enterprise risk list where appropriate, but we are different functions who work very closely together.
Yep.
The next three are business functions that are run by business teams with a security component contributing to their business activities, right? The security operations group manages all the digital forensics. We do this for the enterprise. Then the D4, or digital forensics team, turns over the results to the appropriate actioning team. That team may be internal investigations, it may be fraud, or it may be the incident response team. In each case, These teams are partners dependent on digital forensics, but they are not included in the cybersecurity organization usually.
Oh,
Same,
interesting. So where would but digital forensics is part of what we do, right?
the digital forensics is retrieving the data appropriately and maintaining chain of custody of that data. Whereas what the business chooses to do with that data, whether it's fraud investigation or loss prevention, whether it's internal investigations or external, that's handled, or even incident response, that's handled by the business team that's managing
Right. Yep, I agree. That's
that
what I've
incident
seen.
response.
That's what I've seen.
So Kip, what other things would you add or remove, and why? I mean, this is a lot of list, right? We've gotten to 20 some services, disciplines. There's so many to think about.
Yeah, there is. And we've gone over this, as part of our show prep. So I don't have anything particular
Cool.
to put on the table, but just simply, I think, this kind of starts to get into the caveats, right?
It
Like,
does.
Just because we're giving you this example here, don't expect that everywhere you go, it's going to look just like this.
Nope. It doesn't. In fact, this is how we built it based on what we've seen, observed, and would do when we're king, right?
Right.
But you, my dear listener, are going to learn from what we've offered. You're going to stand on our shoulders. You're going to get the bigger job, and you're going to define this for the next generation. And when you do, come back and let us know what you did, because we can update the diagram. That'd be
right.
awesome.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. Please do. It's synthetic. I like that term, right? We're showing you a synthetic example, but there's a lot that we think that you can learn from it. It's not about right and wrong. So be careful, right? Don't go into your new org and say, well, I saw on a podcast that threat intelligence is part of, so that's the way we got to do it.
No, we are here offering you a way you can look at the organization, and if it changes over time, that's okay too.
Yeah. Okay, young Padawan.
What are your takeaways for today? Cybersecurity is complex. It can be understood, and as we better understand it, we can help us find where we fit in that larger program organization function, right?
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to next week, because we're going to finish building out this diagram. We're going to take it to the next level after that. We're going to look at the 23 common services to a security service catalog, and we're going to look at the individual teams that might support each one of those services and disciplines that we've already had a chance to look at.
Okay, so we've got, let's see, at the top level, we got the org. You break it down into 4 major areas, right? That's like the next layer.
Organizational units.
And then you've got disciplines clustered in each organizational unit. And then finally, the next level of detail that we're going to go to is the service layer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll introduce what is a service catalog, and then how is it used in all of technology as a space. And then we'll introduce the common services that a security organization will offer to its business. Think of a service catalog as an order by number on a menu, right? I want a number 17 3-star, right? Everybody knows what a number 17 3-star is, because the menu says number 17 is this food.
Got it. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Wes. And thanks, everybody, for being here and for checking out this new format. We really, really appreciate the opportunity to share this information with you. We really hope that it's helpful. You should tell us if it's not helpful. You should tell us how we could be more helpful to you. But until next time, remember, you're just one path away from your dream cybersecurity job. See you later.